Hi everyone, this is my next entry in my Florida Overheat Hill series. So far I've taken a King Song 16X out and up Florida Overheat Hill, and then after that I took the One Wheel XR up. Both of those made it successfully. Before I did any of those, I took up the Gotway Tesla. That made it fine, just like the real Overheat Hill in California. And now, last but not least, I'm taking the Segway MiniPro to and up Overheat Hill, or at least attempting to. And I didn't know if this was going to make it. I haven't ridden this in about 6 months, and this was my first PEV I ever owned. It got me into the whole scene, and I've logged hundreds of miles on it. I'd say about 400 miles or so on it before I moved into a one wheel and scooters and some other things. But this was my first one, and to steer it, that bar between my legs isn't for pleasure. It's to, if you lean your leg on it, if you lean your right leg against it, it steers to the left, and vice versa. If you lean your left leg against it, it steers you to the right. And you lean forward a little bit and it goes forward, you lean back and it stops and it goes in reverse. And this thing could turn on a dime. If I'm at a standstill, I could literally do a 360-degree spin, and I do it later on in this video, I believe. But the bad thing about the Segway is that, number one, it doesn't go fast. I think it has a 10 mile per hour speed limit associated with it, and it's heavy tilt back when you get to 9-10 miles an hour. So you really can't bust the 10. In addition to that, the batteries don't last that long, but they used to sell it in two versions. This is, I believe, the 512 or 520 watt hour version, so I bought the biggest battery pack they have, and it usually gets me around 11 to 13 miles of range. So for this, what I did is I made sure that each one of the tires was pumped exactly to 45 psi, which is what it's recommended, and I made sure that this was fully charged to 5 bars before I drove it to where I needed to get to start my Overheat Hill run. And to get to Overheat Hill, if you remember from my other videos, it's a series of hills just to even get to the hill, just like Marty's Overheat Hill, only not as dramatic as his. But, so anyway, so I had the tires nicely inflated. I had the battery fully charged on 5 bars, and I just, I didn't know if I was going to make it or not, and I just headed out. As a matter of fact, I was so excited and I ran out so quickly, I forgot to take my helmet, because I wear a helmet in all my riding videos. But when I got to the spot I needed to get to, when I realized I didn't have my helmet, I said, the heck with it, because I remember when I first started riding this, I believe I first started riding it without a helmet. May not be the smartest move, but that's what I was doing, and I lived. So I figured, okay, for this particular run, hopefully I won't be encountering any people, and I won't crack my skull. And the fact that I'm making this video means I didn't crack my skull. Anyway, there's a close-up of the knee bar. It's padded on each side, but again, if you push your right knee against it, you're going to turn to the left, and your left knee against it, you're going to turn to the right. And I was riding here, I didn't feel the pushback, so I was probably going right around 9-10 miles an hour on this, and it felt like it was going very fast for the unit itself that it is. And I guess everything in life is relative, and it's the same with this Segway MiniPro, and just like any other PEV, on my 16X I could go 22-25 miles an hour, on certain terrain, on smooth roads, and I feel great if I was on a one wheel, I wouldn't be making it that fast, but leading up to it, I would be nosediving, and leading up to the nosedive, I would be very nervous that I was about to crash. And I'm sure certain e-skateboards are the same way. But this little thing, I mean, it was terrifying riding it. It doesn't, I may not look terrified, but it was terrifying, especially in the beginning when I was getting used to it again. You know, after a while I got used to it and had a good feel for it. But when I was initially taking off, and like in this section, it was a harrowing experience, to say the least. And again, this whole time I'm heading uphill. I think the video translates that pretty well, but I am heading uphill, and I'm not even on the main Overheat Hill yet, and I didn't even know if I was going to make it to Overheat Hill, because at this point I think I was 190 pounds, and you know, going uphill drains this unit's battery. I remember from time past, you know, riding up hills, it would drain it pretty quickly, and I think each one of these batteries have 2,000 charge cycles to them. I used to have 2 of these, and I sold one of them. This was my lesser used one. It probably only has 150 miles on it. The other good thing about this unit is, to me, it rides like an EUC. I think Duff one time mentioned he didn't think it reminded him of an EUC, but to me it does. It's like you have the bar in between your legs, and you're kind of leaning to the left or the right. Actually, on this you really don't lean. You have to remember not to lean. Actually, you have to use your knees. But to me, it's more reminiscent of riding an EUC than a one wheel, for instance. You know, or obviously a scooter. And you also have the same front-facing stance, and you also get tilt back like you would with an EUC as well. And here I am coming off a bridge. I have to turn. I'm trying to highlight how I have to turn with my knees. And there was like some garbage on the bridge that I didn't want to hit, because I didn't know if it would knock me off, and I'm on a bridge. So anyway, still heading. This is the bridge that's at the base of the Florida Overheat Hill, and that's where it really starts in earnest to be a dramatic incline. And again, this whole time I'm worried whether or not I'm even going to make it up, let alone get back home. And the good thing about the MiniPro is it has its own app, just like an EUC does, and it's a pretty informative app. And it's just that I was so nervous riding this thing because I wasn't used to it anymore. I wasn't looking at my app too much on the way going up the hill. That pond hopefully looks familiar. That's the pond that has, all the ponds in Florida I believe have alligators in them, but this one definitely has alligators in it. I've seen them on some other rides, and it's a pretty steep hill rolling down the hill into the pond, which I really don't want to encounter right now. So anyway, I'm going up the hill. You can see how steep of a grade it is. As I mentioned in some other videos, a lot of people think Florida is flat or completely flat. It's not. There's some hilly areas like where I live, outside of Tampa. For the most part, Florida's flat, you know, and relatively speaking compared to other states, it may seem flat, but there are hills. And but anyway, it's making it up. There was no voltage sag that would cause me to slow down. I was going full speed, as laughable as it may seem, the full 10 miles an hour up this hill. But 10 miles an hour on this really feels like 20, 30 miles an hour on this particular device. And there's a software hack or upgrade that you could buy from a third-party company that could increase the speed to 16 miles an hour. It's just that if I was riding this constantly, oh, by the way, there's a video gamer Easter egg in this video. Hopefully you've spotted it or will spot it. I'll just leave it like that. But anyway, if this was the only vehicle that I would ride, I would be so in tune with it and in touch with it like I was when I first got it, that maybe 16 miles an hour wouldn't seem too bad. It would be acceptable to me. But right now, the fact that I'm on these two tires with this bar between my knees to steer, I didn't feel comfortable on it. And I don't have the hack anyway to take it to 16, but it was definitely going to full 10 here. Going up the hill, it handled it very well. I was shocked. I had never been up this hill before on it, just some other hills around where I live, but nothing as dramatic as this. And it felt really good. So I made it up, and I think I checked my app to make sure I have battery, and also because this has an e-brake, it's regenerative braking. So I'm trying to show everyone what the app says, but it didn't come across that well with the glare from the sunlight. But I was doing good. I think I was at like maybe 85 to 90% battery. There I am doing a 360 degree spin, standing still, to show how nimble this is. And but anyway, I believe I was about 85 to 90%, which was shocking to me because after climbing that hill. And the other good thing about the Segway MiniPro is that the between my 2 feet at the base of it, and I show it later on in this video, there's a graph, an electronic graph that shows, I believe, the number of bars on the battery remaining. And again, it starts off, I believe, at 5 bars, and later on in the ride, I'll show how many bars I have left. But right now, though, I'm regenerating. I'm heading down the hill. It's a very steep hill, relatively speaking, and I felt like I was on top of the world going down this hill, as you could tell there. It's reflective of my emotions going down this hill. And there's a steep drop off to the right again. There's the pond coming up that has alligators in it, but it's really a steep drop off if you could look down there, probably about 40 feet or so. And but the tires are looking good, and also there's foot pads that I'm standing on that are cushioned to help cushion the ride. And you still feel it, but it's a nice touch that Segway and now 9bot added to this thing to try to make the ride more comfortable. Because after like 10, 15 miles of riding on this, your feet start feeling numb for some reason. But they're pneumatic tires to help cushion or help dampen the bumps. And I'm hitting a bump every time. Every one of those cracks in the sidewalk is a bump that the tires have to cushion and that the foot pads have to cushion. But they're doing a pretty good job. And at this point, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable on it. I just don't want to get out of control and wipe, because there's nowhere for me to wipe. I'm going to end up on a guardrail, or on either side of me is a guardrail, so I don't want to wipe. But I'm going the full, 10 miles an hour, I believe. And now I'm starting to head up the other hill that took me to Overheat Hill, and I'm on my way back, obviously. So anyway, that's the Segway MiniPro. I made it to and up Overheat Hill. Whether I make it all the way back is going to be questionable. Only time in this video will tell, so I encourage you to watch the whole thing. Again, there'll be some shots in here, both of the app, that'll be more visible, and also that black strip between my feet. That's where the battery gauge is, that you'll be able to see a little later in this video, showing you how much battery is left on it. And after a while, I think another thing that was making me feel nervous was the fact that I didn't have my helmet, and I always wear my helmet whenever I go riding. But I was starting to feel more comfortable, this deep into the ride without the helmet. It wasn't bothering me as much. And here's where you have to push on that bar with your knees to be able to turn. it's a alien process to me now after riding the EUC and the one wheel and other things. But that's how it works. And now this is another very steep hill that the thing is just handling like a pro, as in Segway MiniPro. And so I was very happy with it and very impressed with it. Again, I'm trying to show off the app. You can't see it that well, but there's a picture of the MiniPro there. I forgot exactly what it read, but I definitely gained some battery coming down that hill, that big steep hill. And again, I'm very pleased. I'm confident at this point. You could tell I'm giving it the proverbial gas, so to speak. I'm not slowing down at all as if I'm running out of battery, and I'm trying desperate measures to try to make it back because it's a long way back. That isn't what I'm doing. I'm actually going full throttle or near full throttle with it, and very impressed with it. It's not going to be my PEV of choice. I've moved on to a scooter and then a one wheel, and I moved on from the one wheel pretty much onto, I think there was a deer over there in the woods again, but I moved on to EUCs for most of my riding, and I'm really enjoying them. But this is definitely like a little brother to the EUC. If you ever have a chance to ride one of these, one of the guys in my one wheel group that I rode with before the pandemic, he actually had one of these, a slightly different version of it, for him and his daughter to go riding on, and he thought it was a blast too. So it really is really cool. And I've seen videos of people that have connected like a wagon to this thing, and they use it for work. Like they'll pull things with it, for their jobs. It also has a remote control feature with the app that I was showing you, that you could, with your finger, you could guide it. You could make it go forward, back, turn around. It has RGB lights in the back that I don't know that the video is showing that well, but and you could set them in whatever kind of flash pattern you want. And they have, obviously different colors, the whole color spectrum. It also has an automatic headlight, which I haven't used in over a year. But when it was I remember when it was starting to get dark, the light would come on and it illuminated the road really well. Obviously not as bright as a car, but for what it is, it definitely illuminated it. And you could shut that light off if you want, to try to conserve the battery. And I remember taking this thing when I used to come home from work and take this thing out for a long ride every night over hills and on different trails and stuff. I remember I used to get so worried because there were a couple times I had to do the walk of shame and walk it home. And by the way, there's a built-in trolley handle in that bar between my legs, and that trolley handle goes up relatively high, so it's a very comfortable trolley handle for it. Again, showing its lineage to EUCs, and actually I think EUCs owe their lineage to this, because this is a baby Segway. Yeah, there's the light bar for the battery. It shows how much battery there is. But anyway, these came out before the EUC. So anyway, there's the connection. Besides the gyroscopic technology that's in this, that's now that they took from this and put in EUCs. Oh, and as you can see, I went off the road a little bit. No heavy roading with it, but no heavy off-roading with it. But you can go off-road with it. I've ridden this through grass plenty of times, and there's off-road tires you can even buy for it. And they even sell an off-road version with roll bars, like a roll cage on it to protect it, and shred lights and stuff. So, but anyway, it's a precursor to the EUC, I believe, and it's a pretty cool ride. And like I said, like this video showed, it conquered Overheat Hill pretty well, and I'm probably nearing the home stretch of getting back to where I had to go, and I'm glad I didn't fall because I wasn't used to riding it anymore, and at the same time I didn't have my helmet on, so I was really nervous. So it was really good, dusting it off and pumping the tires back up and charging it up, and it's riding as if I never put it into storage, so to speak. And hopefully you spotted what was on my shirt and you understand what that means. If not, look it up, or ask in a comment and I'll let you know. But yeah, when you see that white fence, that signifies I'm nearing the home stretch. I'm not there yet, but I'm nearing civilization. And yeah, so this was it. Besides satisfying my curiosity as to whether or not all my PEDs can make it up Overheat Hill, Florida version, that is. I just thought it would be interesting to get out for a long ride on this Segway MiniPro, just to see how it handled, because I forgot. And I think when Ninebot announced it was shutting down Segway's factory or warehouse in America, I put out a quick video that Segway's not dead, because this is still alive. But this was my first long ride in a long time on this, and this is one of the meandering sidewalks in my neighborhood that goes through the woods, and it's handling it absolutely great. And so this was a blast to ride. Not as exhilarating as an EUC or a one wheel, but it was still in its own way. And each vehicle that you get on, your brain has to adapt to how they operate, how they go forward, backward, and side to side, and that's a challenge. But it's a fun challenge. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. There's the gauge of the battery. I believe it was showing 4 bars. So just to let you know, I'm making it back, and I have 4 out of the 5 bars, which is 80%. And I remember looking at the app, and I don't know if it's going to translate well here, but I was looking at the app, and I believe it was like 80 or 84% battery remaining, which was shocking to me. After going up all those big hills, a lot of it has to do with the tire pressure on this. I noticed, if you're missing 510 psi,